Okay, I'm going to go over some really basic things about Wizard. Basically, how to launch it, when to launch it in quick frame versus custom frame, and just how to enter a basic map. So, from our point of sale through specialty software, quick frame is the fastest way to get to your mat design if you just need a quick fix. If you don't know if you want a mat, custom frame is probably where you want to start, and it doesn't really matter what you type in here at this point because you'll have to re-enter it later into the mat, and you have to put a description and condition of artwork. So just pick something or go back. Make sure you go back to that later and edit it. And then you want to launch your mat if you decide you do want to do a mat. If you just need a blank for something, this is where you would stop. So you just leave these at 0 like they are, and then put your mat skew in here and say done. And yes, I want a 0 border, that's what I want. And then from there you can start adding your molding, your glazing, your mounting, all of that. And if you decide you do want a mat opening, I usually delete that out of there and then just go right to Wizard and then launch Wizard. So this is where you would put your basic opening size, what you want it to be. And if you know the outer dimension, put that in. If you don't know the outer dimension, this is where you would put your borders in here. You can do minimal things like just change the number of layers. You can click on the change template and make it something else. And as far as moving it around, you can just click and move it. Make sure your option or your object is selected when you go to move it, otherwise of course nothing will happen. Double click on the opening and you can edit. It takes you directly to the properties tab at the top of the screen, and you can just change your size, and you can change your size by just clicking on that and like moving it to where you want it to be. Or that's a good way to do it if you're eyeballing an opening that you have to work with. You can again select the opening and right click and say change the template. That's one way to get there. You can also double click on the opening. Again, it'll take you to the properties tab and you can change template there. Say you want an octagon. At the bottom there is 2 different tabs in the properties tab, one for the reveals. If you need more than one layer, then of course you would choose however many layers you need or want, and you can just click that up or down to get the width of it, or if you know what it is, you can just type that in there directly. This is where you would choose reverse bevel if you want one of those on the top or the bottom or both. It kind of gives you a preview so you can see that. The parameters tab is what gives you the options to adjust the opening if you've got an unusual cutout. So you can just, if you don't know what it does, just start clicking down or up to see what it looks like or what it affects. Some of them aren't terribly intuitive as far as what the options are when you see that. Like this one maybe has a lot of choices. So under parameters you have a radius, which is of course this little rounded part, the offset width, and the step width and the notch width. So those may not be terribly intuitive. Just start clicking on it and you can kind of see what it does. And just keep adjusting it until it looks like something that resembles what you want. You can click on that and you might have off-centered it while you were adjusting things and changing things. So on the right there's quick tools that you can use. The second one down is just centering the objects horizontally and vertically. If you hover long enough over the button, it will tell you what it does. If you know you want to keep your border at 4 inches all the way around, you can click the even borders, and if you have a multiple mat, make sure you change it to be the top mat or the bottom mat. And with the even border selected, I would then put 4, and I've got it selected for my top. So nothing changed yet, but I do need to go over to the toggle button on the right, and dynamic outsides means that it's dynamic. It's it's going to ebb and flow with your size that you want it to be. So as soon as I click that, it will automatically make my top border 4 inches all the way around. If I want to know what my outer dimension is, you can double click on the purple part. And right now it's 16 1/4 by 19 1/2. So that might be a heads up to like make that 16 instead of 16 1/4 for the use of glass. I would unclick the dynamic outsides. I would change this to 16, and I would just basically center that in the board. Also, when you're designing, it might be helpful to, like it already is, to click this cut outside dimension, even though you don't really need to. If you unclick it, it will show this dark purple, and this represents the uncuttable region of the mat. So if you ever have a design that's overlapping that or super close to it, beware that you might need to choose special instructions and tell the mat department it is small borders so that they don't waste mat board cutting it bigger again. And then just go back to point of sale and plug in your mat SKUs that you have for this design and go back to the main screen. And if I only put one mat in there, it will tell me that it requires 2 mats. So then I have to say bottom mat and what I want that to be and say done. And then I will be at the main screen here.